Well, Barry, what do you learn about a quarterback when you get to see him in game action?
Well, I mean, you know, how he handles himself leading up to the game. A lot of things. I mean, I could list a whole lot of things that most of all probably just, you know, he had poise in a kind of a tough situation and did what a quarterback's supposed to do, helped his team win the game. So that part of it was really positive.
His legs are obviously an effective weapon. Is there a hold your breath part of that though, for his own sake when he does?
I don't think so. I mean, we're not trying to do a lot of direct runs with him, a lot of read to help our run game and help soften the defenses up a little bit, make them respect him. He is a sufficient runner. He's quick. He's very decisive. He's got to do a better job to protect himself out in the open field. But I thought he did a really nice job of, in the run game part of it. And it's one of the reasons that, it was very lucrative to us to go and recruit because I knew that he did. I knew that he could run. You could see that on his film. And one of the things that was cool is like one of the first things we saw, I think I've talked to you guys about this. I remember watching his film when he was a true freshman against Baylor and got thrust in a kind of a tough situation. The boys just stood in the pocket and threw some great balls and got just absolutely smoked, and never took his eyes off the ball and the receiver. And that's a really strong, indicator that a guy's got toughness. And certainly he showed that part of it in the game on Saturday.
As you identify what you are and who you are in the run game, Barry, what can you take from week one that you can improve on?
Yeah, we got a lot to improve on in that area, overall everything, Sure. And so, it was kind of an interesting game, the way it unfolded. It was kind of a quirky game in that, and we had a lot to do with that. We can stay on the field there for kind of the middle of the second quarter after a fast start, and then all of a sudden we're at halftime, and I think we've run like 20-something plays, and so then we come out in the third quarter, and then because of a miscue on us, we're down 19-7, and so now you're kind of a little bit not necessarily off script, but like the way you play the game changed a little bit. So, the run game never really got off its tracks, or got on track, I should say. It was more off its track, but there was some positive inside the run game. There were that we can build off of.
The overall work of the receivers on Saturday, just what do you think of how they did?
No, they did great. They did great. I think George said in this, staff meeting, he said that we caught the ball pretty well, and it was like, no, we caught the ball great, and he was being, modest, and that's their job to catch the ball. But I thought they played a really strong game. We had, really nice balance between those three guys, and if we can continue to have that and have them show up and be consistent, which we firmly believe they will be, because they've, practice shows up on game day, and that's the way they practice.
There's some great receivers in the Big Ten, obviously Hofstadter, but do you think these guys can rank it with that kind of top groups?
Well, I know I'm glad we got them, and we're going to go to battle with them. I don't really see a lot of the other ones. I'm not as in tune. Yeah, I'm not as in tune with the other guys, honestly. And as we get going during the year, there'll be more crossover film where I see, more offenses in our league play. But right now, I don't know a lot of them. That doesn't mean I don't have respect for them. I know I'm glad we've got our group, and they're playing at a really high level, and we're going to need them too on Saturday as well.
Coach, what did you see up front from the O-line, especially the new guys, Kreutz and Geske?
Yeah, I think they were probably like, like we were probably overall. There was ups and downs. Like I think you could go through every position and probably describe it that way. Starting with me, ups and downs, and quarterback as well, up and down. And so that's what you would expect in the opener. And that's what you expect in the game of football. We just got to have a lot more ups than we do downs, and I think we're real confident that we'll, the old adage about the improvement between 1 and 2, I think holds very true, and we're hoping that comes to fruition on Saturday. And but all of them did some really nice things, and all of them did some things that that they would like to have back and that they're going to learn from.
What are the strengths of Kansas's defense?
Yeah, I think they've got a lot of depth. I think they play real confidently, and I think their system is. In the off season, we were anxious to see if there was any tweaks or anything different, like we do all of our opponents when we study them, just like we did with Toledo. And I think they've just gotten better at running their scheme. They seem to be really playing with good fundamentals, and they played really hard against Missouri State. And so I got a lot of respect for them, the way they coach and play overall in their whole program. Those coaches have been together for a long time, and they certainly know what they're doing.
When Luke Altmyer threw the interception, what did you guys talk about after that when he came off? What was that like?
Yeah, I mean, it's just, it's just classic. Like we all knew. I mean, everybody that watched the game knew, he knew. And sometimes that happens, and we got to make sure it doesn't happen. What can I do to help him, see that better? But it certainly, initially it unveiled like it kind of probably hadn't practiced, it initially unveiled. And then they did a nice job of retracing and seeing what we were doing, and just had a better defense than we had call, and we just got to protect the ball in that scenario. He's got to kind of bail me out a little bit to that degree, and certainly a moment that he'll learn from and get better for it.
What kind of carryover can a game like that for him have, just in his first career start for you guys and FBS, and just kind of big picture there?
Yeah, I would assume a lot. I think every game when you're young and a young quarterback and hadn't played a lot of games, certainly hadn't been in a situation like that as a starter. Now, obviously, the Sugar Bowl, that's a big environment to be in, to be thrust into that environment, trying to help your team win a Sugar Bowl on national TV. So I think, I'm probably sure that experience helped him with his poise on Saturday. But that's kind of his demeanor. He's kind of built for that a little bit. So we just want him to keep getting better. Like Coach B says, we just want to keep getting better, have a 1-0 mentality every day. And can we be better today than we were last Wednesday, And can we be better this Saturday than we were, or this Friday than we were last Saturday?
Barry, when you looked at the turnover on downs, what would you guys see on that sequence?
Well, that was a disappointing series. I mean, we got to 2nd and 4, I believe, and my mentality was kind of go direct run, to go get it and keep the chains moving. And it was a myriad of different things. I can't remember honestly off the top of my head the series. But there was one where we should have pulled it, and get the ball on the perimeter. And then on 4th down, we ran one that we had, felt like we had vetted and had done earlier in the game, and just we had a miscue internally that left a guy at the point, and it's usually not a good thing. So, but there's a lot of things that go into that, like the 2nd and 3rd and 4th. We should never been put in a situation where we were 4th and so there was a bunch of things that went into that. But that's like getting stopped in that fringe area. That was a real critical moment in the game, and we certainly can't afford that to happen.
Talked all offseason about the red zone. That was a big positive. What did you see there?
Well, it was positive. We executed well, and so what we had seen in practice showed up in a game, both the kind of the plays and the execution. So that was something to certainly to build upon, and but we got to continue to be consistent down there. That doesn't mean touchdowns every single drive all year long, but the emphasis is touchdowns. We got to score touchdowns, and then obviously we had opportunity to kick the field goal, and that was the right play. But as many touchdowns we can score down there, the better off our team's going to be.
Does the performance of Luke and Pat Bryan and some of the others give you confidence that you can take a few more deep shots?
Yeah, I'm confident in that in general. I mean, just like, a lot of it just kind of each game unfolds differently. Each coverage pattern unfolds differently. How are we protecting the quarterback? Is the wind blowing? Like, there's a lot of things that go into that, but I'm very confident in our ability to play on the outside lanes with Casey and Pat and Malik and Ashton, and when Isaiah's out there, and just, to throw and catch. We threw and caught the ball very well, and that's something to build upon. And we've got to be able to go do it in a road environment against a really quality opponent. For us to be successful this year, we're going to have to throw and catch. And that doesn't mean we're not running the ball. Our mentality is we're running the ball. But to supplement what we're trying to do, we got to be able to throw and catch well, and we got off to a good start doing that.
Barry, how would you describe the perspective of being in the box as compared to being down the field last year?
Yeah, I've done both in my career. I mean, going back to when I was a young coach in San Jose and the open air press box where people could, you could literally talk to the person below you,
Right.
Get some food from them. I had a guy ask me what the score of the Stanford Cal game was when I was calling plays,
Right.
And so I've done that. I've been on the field.
Not a whole lot of open air press box in the Big Ten.
No, I don't think I'm gonna have to
Barry,
worry about
yeah.
that, and that's a good thing, I think.
Right.
But in high school, and I've done both in high school, and I started off at UTSA up there. So really, it just kind of each year it depends kind of like what our needs are, kind of what.
Right.
What's the quarterback situation like? Do I need to be on the field with the quarterback? Do I need to be? So a lot of things went into that, but overall, it's a really long answer to a short question. I liked it. I thought it was good for me. I think it's right for us and for me this year. It allowed me to just kind of take the emotions out of it and just be very calculated in how we approach the game, and how we were scripting and how we were calling and scripting in between series. And so I liked it overall.
Does Luke's calm nature allow that for you to be up
It does,
there a
and
little
Art,
bit?
and
Yeah,
having
yeah,
Art too. Having somebody that can be there, that knows it. Art and him got a great rapport, and Art's a great help in our quarterback room overall, and so he's the liaison there, and so I felt great about that for all of the guys, for him to be my mouthpiece, and I did a great job in that. So yeah, that's a big part of it.
What the 4th down pass, the last drive,
Yep.
what did that tell you about that guy?
Yeah, I mean, it was obviously, I didn't realize what had happened. Of course, I'm watching the ball, and watching the route develop, and knew we had an outside lane. It was a smidge of a double move. We knew they were going to be match man, and so I knew we were going to be on the outside lanes, and then I didn't see the play until afterward, and And obviously it was a really phenomenal play. And we were fortunate to get the ball off, honestly, with the arm angle. If it would have been one hand here or there, but sometimes you got to be lucky. And he gave him a chance, and Casey made a great play. And hopefully that play in particular will take us a long way this season.
Barry, you guys featured Tip as a pass catcher a lot on that first drive, and maybe not as much in the rest of the game. Was there something that changed that they did, or do you wish you'd maybe dialed that up a little bit more?
No, obviously when you look back and you have successful plays, you kind of look back as a play caller as like, could I have come back to this one or that one? And I think a lot of it is, just kind of the way the game kind of unveiled in a funky way, and so, but he got him off to a fast start. It was awesome, and that's something that we need from him, to be able to control the flats and catch pop passes and be in the seams and to help supplement our run game. So that was good to get him off to a good start. And certainly the first one was by design. The second one was, the second time we were, I think play 4 or 5, I was kind of off script already because of the field zone and kind of the penalty, and so it was kind of off script. And then so the second one kind of happened a little bit quicker than I thought it might, but he made a nice play on it.
What'd you learn about the running backs and maybe what they're capable of, maybe what they're not capable of?
Yeah, I think to some degree I know Reggie and I know John. I know their strengths, and one of the things that they're just really into the game, but they're really protecting the passer well. They take a great deal of pride in understanding protections, and Thad does a phenomenal job teaching those guys systematically how to protect the quarterback. So our whole organization trusts them, and we want to get them going better than what we did the other day. They ran the ball hard in short yardage, which Josh made some really nice runs down the stretch for us in a critical moment. Reggie did as well. And so I think this week, hopefully we can get those guys going a little bit better than we did last week.